I've been trying to refrain from card reviews until they come out in the TCG, but there is one card that was recently confirmed for the OCG set Dark Neostorm that will be coming out in the TCG eventually that I really am excited about. I think this card is super awesome and just so incredible, and that card is Yuki-Musume, the Ice Mayakashi. Now yes, in my Is It Worth It, I absolutely bagged on Mayakashi saying they were a terrible archetype, but this one card really changes that, and I really feel like Yuki-Musume is so good for Mayakashi and Zombie as a whole, and this card makes me so excited that I just had to talk about it. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about Yuki-Musume, the Ice Mayakashi, and why this new support card is absolutely incredible for Mayakashi and for the zombie typing in general. So Yuki-Musume is a new Mayakashi monster that is a level 1 water zombie effect monster with 0 attack, 1900 defense, and the following effect. You can only use this card's first effect once per turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard while you control a Mayakashi card other than Yuki-Musume, the Ice Mayakashi, you can special summon this card, then send one zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. You cannot special summon from the extra deck except Mayakashi monsters. The biggest thing that this card does for zombies is it sends any zombie from the deck to the graveyard. Mizuki, Necro Banshee, Glow Up Bloom are all great examples of good zombies to send. This is probably the most powerful thing you can do in any zombie deck though. Even though there's cards I just mentioned, there will be cards in the future that will also be very good in the graveyard. There are just so many bombastic cards that you can send with this card. It's absolutely amazing. And just in general, sending a zombie to the graveyard is so powerful for so many strategies. I really feel like sending a zombie from the deck to the graveyard is just generically so powerful for zombies and is by far the most powerful thing you can do considering the cards you have access to by sending one to the graveyard. Mizuki is such a good card to send, for an example. And the issue is there has never been that many cards that can freely send a zombie from the deck to the grave. Yes, we do have cards like Unizombie, Mizuki, and Samurai Skull that can send a zombie from the deck to the grave. However, them by themselves don't really get you that far. As in, sure, if you summon Shinranui Solitaire and summon Unizombie from your deck, yes, in that case you can summon an Omega, but does that really do much for you? It's not the greatest thing you can do. However, with that in mind, well, yes, we do have cards like Unizombie, Gozuki, and Samurai Skull that can send stuff from the deck to the graveyard. These only result in mild advantage unless you already have other cards set up, as in usually you're trying to send Mizuki, but then Mizuki doesn't actually get you that far in general. And while yes, Yuki-Musume does require setup, if you can resolve it at times, it's absolutely amazing. Generically, this card in combination with Hajun can set up for massive advantage. Hajun alone gets you access to Musume, which can summon out the Link 2, summons out Musume, send a zombie, and go further from there. This by itself is amazing considering you get free monsters and a free send from deck. If you can capitalize on this setup, it's much better than normal summoning a Uni. This gives you so many more resources to work with as well. Hajun into Musume might just become standard for zombie turbo decks. You have so much freedom at this point to do whatever you want. Musume just gives you so much more consistency that you never had before. However, a very big issue, to be fair, is the fact that you can't use Musume and the Ona for a second Ki-Ona, as you can only control one Yuki-Ona. This in general dramatically hurts how powerful this card is. Because of the fact that you can't use Musume for link material with a Yuki-Ona into a second Yuki-Ona, this dramatically changes how you would use this engine, and you need another card to get things going. For example, you would need most likely a tuner monster so that way you can synchro into one of the Mayakashi synchros, so that way you can continue going from there. One good card to use with Hajun, for example, is Destrudo. I think Destrudo will be very important for combos like this, because if you can normal summon Hajun and then use Destrudo from hand to summon itself, synchro for the level 7 synchro, and then from there link for summon sword, you can still use the Musuki you sent off of Musume or whatever you sent, for example, and then summon back something from the grave, and from there you can go off. So there are still ways to play through Musume locking you out of extra deck monsters except Mayakashi. However, a lot of the time you might not be able to, which makes this engine much worse. I still think it's so powerful that considering how much advantage you get, considering you get a free link to and another monster to use as synchro material, but at the same time it does restrict you quite immensely, and so with that you have to be careful about how you use Musume if you're going to play it at all. For me, I would figure out a way to use Musume because I think this card is super awesome, but at the same time just keep that in mind. I really need to stress though how important it is to have something like Musume to send a zombie. Sending any zombie with the amount of utility you get is absolutely amazing. Like I've already mentioned, the fact that you have already pre-established setup with this one normal summon is very good. One thing that Unizombie and all the other normal summons lack is pre-established setup. But if you summon Hajun, not only are you setting up zombies on your field to use as, for example, link fodder for summon sorceress, then you're also setting up zombies in the graveyard that you can use as resources to banish with a card like Gozuki or Vendread Core, etc. I think at the very least this will be a great engine for the zombie world deck if you're going for a more pure zombie world deck, as this card automatically gets you access to zombie world and it puts bodies on field, so that way you can summon Doom King. I think this engine is just so powerful for zombies, but the real question is now, because remember, this is a Mayakashi card, so the next question I'm going to ask is how good is Yuki-Musume in pure Mayakashi? Well, while I still think this deck doesn't do much in the pure version, this card just does so much for the strategy. First off, this card says from hand or graveyard. Drawing this card is still good for you as you already have access to it. So the fact is, Yuki-Musume makes this deck so much better, because remember, Hajun gets you so much advantage by itself. If you can summon Musume, you're getting more advantage, because if you can draw Hajun and Musume, that just means from there you can go for the link monster, and you can go for your level 11 synchro, and you can send Mizuki or whatever you want from the deck to the graveyard. I think the pure version just becomes so much better just because of Musume and how much utility you get out of it. Remember, you don't need to go for crazy boards all the time, so with Musume, even just sending one is super powerful as you're going. I think this with Doom King Ballard Roach is really good and gives a whole nother dimension to the deck just because Musume is a card. I think this deck will work very well with the zombie world variant of the zombies, and that way it will make a Mayakashi zombie world deck. I think that will be actually really powerful and much better than people expect it to be. I don't think it will be tier 1 or anything, but I think it will definitely be a decent rogue deck going into when Yuki-Musume comes out and Dark Neostorm comes out. I think Yuki-Musume does add a lot to the deck, but there's also another variant of Mayakashi we need to talk about. That variant is the FTK variant. While yes, that variant is pretty decent, I don't like that variant whatsoever. It just can be super difficult to perform the combo at times, and it can be inconsistent when against hand traps. I have tested the FTK variant with Yuki-Musume, and there are ways to play through hand traps, like for example, if your soul absorbing bone tower gets infinite impermanence, with the Mizuki you already sent from Musume, you can use that to summon out your bone tower once again and continue with the FTK. I've also experienced issues with just getting all the required pieces on the field where I have to summon a Mayakashi and I don't have access to the other pieces. So I really feel like the FTK variant is still flawed even with Musume because it just requires too much to resolve. Yes, if you can synchro climb and link climb into your link 2 and your level 11 synchro, that's a lot of cards in the opponent's graveyard. However, that one sequence isn't enough to mill out your opponent's deck, and that's a big issue for just playing through cards in general. One infinite impermanence can stop the soul absorbing bone tower and sometimes just ruin the FTK in general. So overall, Yuki-Musume is a great way to play through hand traps and etc. with the Mayakashi deck. It's great for zombie decks in general as it can send any zombie for free, and Hajun puts out a lot of resources for you to capitalize with, and overall Yuki-Musume is just such a great card. The only issue now is the fact that Mayakashi just have so many restrictions, as you can only control one Mayakashi monster. If you were able to link with Yuki-Onna and Yuki-Musume into a second Yuki-Onna, this would be absolutely amazing and 100% really amazing for zombie decks, but the fact that you can't really hurts this card, and just because of the fact these Mayakashi cards have so many restrictions, that's why I don't expect this deck to be meta. but I feel like this is just such great support overall for pure Mayakashi. But with this new card, do I think Mayakashi are worth it now? You'll have to subscribe to find out when Dark Neostorm comes out whether I think this deck is worth it or not after Yuki-Musume the Ice Mayakashi comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you guys want to support me further than just watching my YouTube videos, go down into the description and support me on Patreon. It helps out quite immensely. If you guys want to communicate with me further than just the YouTube comment section as well, go down into the description and join my Discord server. I'd love to have you guys there. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and with that, I'll see you guys soon.